everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Lonely Sluts podcast. I'm Claire.
And I'm Sarah.
This episode is titled, How Did We Get Here? And we're going to tell you how we got here, where we are today.
Yeah, so Claire and I met our freshman year of college through, ironically enough, one of the campus ministry centers at USC, where we both attended. Because especially due to the title of our podcast, we probably seem like two church-going gals, I'm sure. But anyways, we were both a part of the same small group, and that's where we were first introduced. Although Claire and I have both actually admitted we genuinely don't remember the first day we met. Clearly, neither of us made a significant first impression, but we just
remember you until like second semester.
Yeah, I just know that it had to be during our freshman year because we were both a part of that group.
Because by sophomore year we knew each other.
Yeah,
but like I don't remember you.
Yeah, no offense. I don't remember you much either.
Like I remember I got conned into joining that softball team.
Yes, the softball team.
Where I
the intramural
injured
team.
my toe because I am not an athlete. But I remember having ice cream after one of our games that we lost because we lost all of our games.
We did real well. I slid into first base, not intentionally, very unintentionally. I tripped into first base, if that tells you anything.
They were like, wow, she's committed.
No, really. The other team said that. Tyler was like listening. He was like, wow, they thought you were like really, really into this game because you're not supposed to slide into first.
But yeah, my first memory of you was like we had to meet before because we were on the same softball team. But my first memory is after one of the games we were getting ice cream and we were all trying to coordinate to go to a pool because it was like May and it never happened.
That feels appropriate for freshman year experiences. Planning something that never pans out. Yeah, no, I feel like we stupidly enough didn't really hang out our freshman year and not much of our sophomore year either until I would say the second quarter or the second half of our sophomore year. Man, I'm setting a low bar for our chemistry here that we're going to have on this podcast. It gets better, I promise.
Yeah, no, this is the first episode. Don't worry, it's going to get better. Like it will. Guaranteed.
But then our junior year, we finally actually kind of became friends and started to hang out because we realized, hey, we are pretty similar people with similar senses of humor, and we always have a good time when we hang out together, so we should do it more often.
Yeah, we spent like a full year being like, we need to get together, and then never doing it, like every single friendship relationship I had in college. And then by the time we actually like started hanging out, it was pretty late in the game. Like, we were like real life friends by second semester junior year, which was way too late.
That was way too late. Yeah, no. I feel like we made our senior year count. Became. I was going to say way too close. We became just the right amount of close.
I'd say the right amount.
And we're still good friends now, even though Claire actually lives in Charleston and I live in Columbia.
Yeah,
and
so
thankfully,
this long distance.
LDR, but
TLS,
thankfully I have a hybrid and a lot of free times on my hands, so it's been easy breezy beautiful. Cover girl. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag not an ad.
I would love for them to be a sponsor. Cover girl, if you hear this, I would love to sponsor you. I am 100% out of eyeliner right now, and I would love some free eyeliner. I'll wear it. I'll tell everybody.
Yeah, I use your foundation, so please.
Yeah, we'll take it.
But yeah, I think that's a pretty solid recap of our friendship, Claire.
Yeah. So Sarah was originally because everybody I've ever met in my whole life is named Sarah. Like I know probably like 7 people our age named Sarah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of us out there.
There's like old ladies named Sarah and babies, and it's confusing. But yeah. So every Sarah I know gets a little nickname, and originally this was Church Sarah. But then eventually it kind of evolved into Fun Sarah because we have the best time. Like when we go out, we have the best time. So Fun Sarah, yeah. And then once upon a time, we'll get into this. I was, yeah, this is just a little sticking your toe into the water of guys. I was talking to this one dude who's overall a disappointment, but
that colors most of our
we'll talk about
stories.
Yeah, no, but That's a theme you're gonna find out. But I told him about Sarah, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna go hang out with Good Times Casey?" And I was like, "You fun Sarah?" And he was like, "Yeah, good, yeah, fun Sarah." But now I call her Good Times Casey sometimes because that's all.
I know. It blows my mind because the first one's so easy. It's like a one syllable simple adjective with a very common name. And he's like, nah, it's definitely harder than this. Gotta throw some more words in there, change it up a little bit.
Well, you know what? He tried, and that's more than I can say for the rest of our relationship, if you can call it that. So, like, good on him for knowing there was a name in there somewhere.
It's like, she has adjective friend name.
But yeah, so since I'm like in love with Sarah, I talk about her to every guy I've been involved with, like at all on any level. And for some reason, every time I'm like, oh, I'm going out with fun Sarah, these guys are all like, uh-oh, which I think is hilarious because I'm like, no,
I feel
fun Sarah.
I feel it's a compliment and an insult a little bit. Like, uh-oh, you guys are going to get into shenanigans, and also like, uh-oh, keep her away.
Like, no, fun Sarah, not bad time Sarah. Not get into trouble, Sarah. We've
not bad
always
times,
made it
Katie.
home and have been fine.
I know. I don't think I've committed any crimes that I feel like I know are illegal,
No, if
you know?
anything, you're like too generous when
Exactly. I give away money.
buy random boys.
I hug
food in
strangers.
the-
Yeah.
What was
I
that?
buy
The
people
Euro
food.
line. You spend $30 on junk food for strangers, like the kind soul you are.
I know. Money I definitely do not have, but drunk Sarah's like, you know what? It's just an object.
Everybody eats.
Everyone needs to eat. But so do you want to get to the origin story of the title of our podcast, since it's your brainchild that I was roped into helping raise, like a quirky neighbor that just got roped in?
Okay, yeah. So this is called the Lonely Sluts Podcast, and there's a little bit of a story behind the name. I was out with a group of my friends who I've known since high school, well, most of them. And we were celebrating my other friend, whose name, believe it or not, is Sarah. She moved to China at the beginning of this month. So we were going out as a group to kind of celebrate, send her off, all that good stuff. And my friend group consists of a married couple and then another couple who's been together for 3 years, I think. And then they're living together. They're pretty serious. Like, they're on the road to getting engaged. It's not a short-term thing, but it's going to happen. There's been discussion. And then my other friend Sarah and myself. And I realized that during this conversation, over the course of probably like, I don't know, 3 hours, I talked about like at least 5 different guys. Like I was just throwing out names, and I was like, oh my God, that's everybody here except for me and Sarah are in like very committed relationships. And I told Sarah, I was like, when you move to China, I'm going to look like a real lonely slut. Like is true. But I thought that was funny because, you know, I think I'm funny. Otherwise, I wouldn't think I need a podcast. But so I told this Sarah, my lovely co-host, and I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I'm a lonely slut too. So this podcast was conceptualized to be kind of a community for all the lonely sluts out there and, you know, try to be a little less lonely.
Yeah, I would say that I never imagined myself being here, like recording a podcast about my experiences and opinions and like all that stuff, my general ramblings. But that's a straight up lie. I'm pretty sure I've gone on record multiple times being like, I need a show. I want my own show. Give me a show. And this is probably, you know, the closest I'm going to get to filling that void. But
yeah, no, this is great. This is a show. We literally have a show now. We made it ourselves. It's great. Everything's great. But yeah, so we definitely have the lonely part covered, but I don't know if we necessarily have the slut part down very well. I will say,
yeah,
we, at least for a while, were pretty good at kissing strangers.
Kissing strangers was one of my top 5 hobbies going out senior year.
It's a good time.
who cares about mono? But
Yeah, no, I always justified it to myself because I was like, this is probably good for my immune system. Like, it's probably fine.
I'm getting that, you know, that community acquired
I'm just gonna
resistance
get
to
like a
things.
little bit of like germs, and then my immune system will learn how to fight the, like, it'll be better in the future.
And this is why we are not a science podcast.
I suck at stuff. I justify all kinds of stuff like that. I'm like, it'll be good for my immune system. A little dirt's good.
I know. I was gonna say I feel like the rub some dirt in it
Yeah, that's
philosophy
exactly.
comes in.
Rub some dirt in it. Kiss a bunch of strangers. It'll build your immunity. It's fine. It's like when you send like kids to preschool, like your like little baby to preschool, he will get sick. Like your kid will get sick. But as they get older, they will have better immune systems than the kids who stayed home.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
So
like when parents send them and then the parents actually get sick a lot too because their kids are just little
yeah.
petri dishes running around
Hmm.
getting all these things. But
That's why you should kiss randos.
that's our first piece of advice.
Yeah.
You've got anything so far.
I think though, as
It's
we've gotten,
strangers.
2 years out of school, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, we've kind of slowed down on the.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Senior year I think was like my peak, like just going out phase type
I
in
think
my most like
junior year for me, I had like second semester junior year. If I went through a phase, that was it.
yeah, I mean I guess I just wasn't even counting studying abroad. I was like
I was in Colombia.
I was in Scotland and I don't know. And yes, I'm bringing up studying abroad and yes, I know it's not a personality trait. Let me live. I'm just trying to provide, you know, honest
Different viewpoints.
background.
I've been in South Carolina for freaking ever, so we need some variety here. Going abroad or not going abroad.
Oh.
No, this is kissing foreigners, is what this is about. I was actually in Charleston, and one time this dude, he was German. His name was Marco. Hey, Marco, shout out. He follows me on Snapchat still, I think, but I don't know him. Anyway, I was in a weird mood, and long story short, we ended up kissing outside, and he was like basically trying to hook up, like in public, and I was like, no, and he looks at me and he goes, maybe you're boring? And that's like, if that's your definition of boring, then like, yeah, deaf boring.
Super boring. I love that though. I love that phrase.
Yeah.
I don't think he was right at all.
Maybe I am.
But he did provide us with a great phrase. Maybe
you're
you're boring?
Anyway, so that's my experience with foreigners.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean so you definitely you definitely don't have to leave to find them. They're everywhere. I cannot remember what I was going to add to this because I feel like I have so much to say on the abroad front that that'd probably be a whole episode.
A whole other podcast.
So Claire, you looked up the official definition and then the more colloquial definitions of the word slut, right?
Yeah, I've done some research. So according to dictionary.com, it has two different. The first one being disparaging and offensive, a sexually promiscuous woman or a woman who behaves or dresses in an overtly sexual way. So that's like traditional. And the second one is the informal definition, which is a person with a seemingly insatiable but often undiscerning desire to do or have something specified, which like I identify with the second one way more than the first one.
Oh yeah, I think we all do. Well, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I think a lot of people do in this day and age because like I feel like the phrase "I'm a slut for blank" is so common now.
Oh,
like
I say I'm a slut for peaches all the time.
And I feel like that it really encapsulates how much you really want something.
Like I'm down for peaches anytime, anywhere, any form. I'm a slut for peaches.
Exactly. So I feel like we definitely it's our need, but then you know
I mean, we
you
like
would,
definitely meant the first definition, but like I identify with the second one. And then Urban Dictionary is hardcore mean. Like they're like depressingly mean definitions. Is like a disgrace to all women, A girl coming from a broken family that acts inappropriately. But my favorite definition is the seventh one, or the last one on the first page, because I have not scrolled any further than the first page and I don't care to. And it says that one girl on Snapchat who uses the dog filter and always takes pictures showing her tits and ass. And my favorite part about this is that it gives a little side definition for tits and ass. It says, also known as TNA, therefore meaning extremely cool. Late 80s slang for cool. So, like, I'm going to refer to everything as TNA. You know what's TNA?
Oh.
Peaches. Peaches are TNA.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think this should be the revival. Like, this will be the new revival of TNA.
Like,
this podcast will bring it back.
People will be like, oh, the Lonely Sluts podcast? That's TNA.
Oh, that's all I dream of, is someone saying that.
That's like the most nonsense sentence I've ever heard.
We can stop after that. We can just stop recording once we've got that status.
And everybody's going to be like, oh, TNA. And we're going to be like, sweet, goal accomplished.
Goodbye forever.
Goodbye forever.
But I actually read somewhere that, I'm pretty sure it was on Wikipedia, that the first recorded usage of the word slut was in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and it was used to describe the appearance of someone, a man actually, and to basically say they were untidy and dirty appearing. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Who knew that a podcast about going out in relationships would make a reference to Chaucer in its first episode?
I mean, we're pretty brave.
We're multi-dimensional, baby. Just try and pin us down. No one has succeeded before, but you can try. But
yeah, we're kind of reclaiming the word slut. We're making it empowering. It's also self-deprecating. We're making
at least that's what we'll tell people. Yeah.
Like, it's ironic because, like, we really don't have that many guys.
Yeah, I mean, the whole title itself is an oxymoron. A lonely person slut. A lonely slut. So prior to the birth of this podcast, however, we actually had another potential idea for a show. If you would like to discuss your other potential brainchild, Claire.
I'm literally always trying to get myself out there. I'm like, people need to see me. I'm hilarious and beautiful. But you can't see me on this podcast. But one day maybe I'll post a picture. Anyway, so I have this tendency to kind of crowdsource my love life choices. And by kind of, I mean exactly crowdsource my love life choices. I recently was doing this. I had a monologue I had kind of memorized for myself.
She's definitely downplaying it, kind of. She straight up had a monologue.
I had never written it
word for word.
Yeah. But, okay, I was in a weird situation with this guy where I was trying to figure out what we were doing. And I liked him, so I didn't want to just, like, burn all my bridges. But I was also kind of like, get in or get out, you know, man. But, so I was, like, very concerned about this. So I came up with a monologue that I recited to every single Uber driver we had. Sarah was in town. We were going downtown a couple times, so we had probably 4 Uber drivers.
Oh yeah, no.
At least. So
I recall.
And I ran it by each one of them, and I edited it based off of what they said, and I finally got it down. But in the process of getting their opinions for a fully sourced statement, I needed some help. But we decided this would make a hilarious YouTube show. We were going to call it Can't Take Us Anywhere. And we were going to film a more sober version on the way there, where we asked our Uber driver love life advice. And then on the way back, we were going to ask a less sober version and ask the same question to that Uber driver. And we were going to put it together, and it was going to be a video on YouTube, and it was going to be hilarious.
Yeah, it got a little harder for that to pan out because we realized we hang out a lot more sporadically now than we did in college, and so it probably wouldn't be the easiest show to make. But I think it makes sense. You want that third party to make sure the rationalizations you make to yourself are actually rational. And also I think it'd be hilarious but also those poor Uber drivers at the same time.
We get mixed responses because the first dude we asked on this specific outing, he had no interest in talking to us at all.
Oh no, he just responded with
alone.
Yeah, and not so many words even. He was just kind of Oh no.
Like, not answering. But like I've had some very engaged Uber drivers since then who have a lot of opinions. That's a whole nother show. But literally. But yeah. Since we don't live in the same place, it's hard.
But speaking of going out and dating and doing all of those things, you have done some fun research on how tailored your experience is to where you live and everything, right?
Yes, I have. I love some research. Honestly, only in this like topic
capacity.
Yeah. So on Facebook, I found an article from Live 5 News. It's like a credible source that says South Carolina ranked as the 36th worst state in America for single people. And being a South Carolinian, I was like, 36? That's not
That
bad.
feels right.
Yeah. I was like, that's fine. We're like second to last in education. We've got like almost the most fat people. And it's like, it's fine. I was like, 36? That's like totally fine. It's like, but I wanted to see why. And that led me to a study by Wallet Hub, not a sponsor. I don't even know what they do. They do surveys, apparently. And they had ranked all the states in America based off of a couple different, let's see. I had my notes all organized and now I've messed them up. A couple different like criteria. Mm-hmm. And so we were 36. Sarah, do you want to guess what's number one?
Number one, and one is the best, right?
This is the best, yeah, not the worst. This is the best state to date in.
The best state to date in?
Yes.
I'm going to guess either California or New York.
So California is number 2 and New York is number 4. The top 5 are 5 is Pennsylvania, 4 is New York, 3 is Texas, 2 is California, and number 1 is Florida, which I feel like is a wild card.
It is a wild card. When I think of Florida, I think of just insane people because of all of the headlines. And then I think of retirees.
Yeah, I think of retirees too, but I guess like there's Miami. And
I guess
straight up forget about Miami. But
Miami big enough to compensate for all these old people?
I guess. So the 3 things that it's ranked on are dating opportunities, dating economics, romance, and fun. And so it's number 3 in the country. Florida is number 3 for opportunities. It's 34th in the country for economics and 3rd in the country for fun, like romance and fun. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's the best average that it came out with. Do you want to know where South Carolina stands?
Oh, in terms of all those different categories? Yeah. Tell me. Hit me with it.
They only list 38 states on here, so we made the cut. Like, we're on the sheet. Like, we've got the stats. We rank 38th in dating opportunities, so that sucks. We rank 24th in dating economics, which is above Florida, by the way. And then for romance and fun, we're at 28.
So the dating economics category, what exactly does that entail?
It kind of just has to do with your job. It does a breakdown, but not a really good one. It says median annual
like cost of living,
income, housing affordability, job growth, median credit score, and then there's this overall well-being index. I don't know where they get that. I don't know what it means, but that's what makes up your dating economics.
Okay.
But yeah, I have some other fun little facts too. The state with the highest share of single adults is Louisiana. The state with the lowest share of single adults, can you guess what it is?
Idaho.
Idaho is 49. So that's very
I keep
close.
Getting so close.
Really good at it. But 50 is Utah, which makes sense to me because this is 100% conjecture, but a lot of Mormons out there in Utah. And all those kids at BYU get married at like 18. So as soon as they're adults, boom, married.
That is true.
No single.
Based purely on our stereotypes and opinions of that, but that's true.
That's my thought process.
Don't Google it.
Yeah. Or do, and then let me know if I
yeah,
because I'm not going to.
Wildly wrong.
I've already done this research, but not that research. Okay, the state with the highest gender balance of singles is Nevada. The state with the lowest gender balance of singles is North Dakota.
Does it say in which way it's skewed, or does it just say that
It
one's higher than the
doesn't.
other?
It just says one's higher than the other.
Because I was wondering which way it would be, like if there's a lot more dudes than gals.
No, because if that's the case, maybe I need to like head that way. Because in Charleston, at least, there's so many more girls, and they're all pretty. Everybody here is gorgeous.
I feel like beach towns have more girls for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know. The ladies love the beach. I don't know why I said that.
And that's our tagline: the ladies love the beach.
Love the beach. Side note: I've been trying to get my friend Corey, who you know. I've been trying to get him to work out with me, and we were at the gym yesterday, and we're doing like curls, like the most basic arm workout, and I suck at it, but he also sucks at it, and so I was trying to give some inspiration, and I was like, yeah, these are the glamour muscles. We got to get them, ready to go for the ladies. But here's the thing. He is not interested in women, and nor am I. So he, was laughing so much. He was like, why do we care? And I was like...
what the ladies think, either of us.
Look, man, we just want the ladies to like us. We don't need to like them back. It's fine. That's what the ladies like.
Honestly, sometimes validation from girls most of the time, validation from girls is so much better than validation from guys. Like a compliment in a women's bathroom will carry me through the rest of that day.
Agreed. But anyway, so that's something I've been saying literally just the past 48 hours. I've been like, yeah, it's for the ladies. The ladies love it. So the ladies love the beach. Anyway, the state back to what I was talking about. The state with the most online dating opportunities is New Hampshire, and the state with the fewest online dating opportunities is Alabama. And I actually have some thoughts on that because I've had the privilege of swiping on Tinder while driving through Alabama, and it's rough out there, y'all. I'm sorry if you live in Alabama.
Did you swipe through two people and then it was trying to find more people in your area?
Yeah. Literally,
you're actually though,
there's so many cows and no people, and
they don't know how to use Tinder.
The dudes on there though, rough. Sorry, maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm.
Were they all holding fish?
Okay, that's not a problem for me.
It's kind of a problem for me. Sorry to you fishers, the fishermen.
This guy whose name will not be revealed, I was talking to him on Snapchat yesterday, and he was making his own bait for so fishing is not a problem.
I don't think I mind so much
fish pics.
The actual thing of fishing, but it's just the pictures holding the fish.
I've not seen this guy's dating profiles if he has any, but he's got his whole Instagram is fish pictures, all of them.
Oh no.
Whatever.
Oh well. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Not a make or break it.
Yeah, I'm not super concerned. Anyway, Alabama, fewest online dating opportunities. Not a lot of fish pics because I was driving through a landlocked part of the state.
Ah, makes sense. Hey, they have lakes and ponds.
Well, I'm from the coast.
A swamp people, but sorry.
They look like swamp people. Sorry, Alabama. I don't mean to be hating on you so much.
I know.
We're going to get boycott there. Clean rest stop. Your Welcome Center bathroom was gorgeous. Cleanest bathroom I've been in, so.
That's also very on brand for you because you could do a cleanest bathrooms in Charleston Twitter, we realized.
Yeah.
We know where all the good bathrooms are.
As a young teen and mid-teen, I spent enough time downtown just killing time, hanging out downtown where the cool kids are, that I have found the public bathrooms and which ones you can sneak in hotels and which ones are the clean ones. So I know a lot. I'm a bathroom expert.
That's our second adventure going to be cleanliest bathrooms in different cities.
Yeah. So, okay. And then back to the ratings and all that good stuff. The state with the most restaurants per capita is California, and the state with the fewest restaurants per capita is North Dakota, which is interesting because Alaska is 49, and I'm surprised that there are more restaurants per capita in Alaska than there are in North Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in like in my head, I'm like North Dakota for all the snow that's in Alaska and like tundra in Alaska, it's just fields in North Dakota.
True,
Like
true.
that's how they relate that way in my head.
Well, they only rank the 5 best and the 5 worst for each of those categories, and South Carolina wasn't on any of them. So we're like in the middle.
We're cruising down the middle.
The good news is
Appropriate for my life.
just doing okay. The good news, though, is that we're not last. We're not last on anything. So we're fine. That's my justification.
If you're not last, you're doing fine.
Yeah, if you're not last, you're doing fine.
It's just like outrunning bears. You just gotta not be last.
Yeah, dating. It's just like outrunning bears. If you're not last, you're fine. Oh my god, that's so... Okay, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's go to this other article that I found. Because Sarah and I both live in South Carolina, I wanted to know what cities in South Carolina are better for singles. And do you want to know where... Well, actually, I'll have you guess first. Do you know what the best city for singles in South Carolina is?
It's a city that I'm going to know, right?
Yeah. You'll know it.
Is there? I feel like there are several in South Carolina that I do not.
Yeah, no, there's a ton. This is, again, a list of the top 38. So I think...
What a oddly specific number they've chosen.
Yeah, I don't know why. This is a different source. This is a real estate website called Home Snacks. So shout out to Home Snacks. This is from December, so it's pretty up to date.
Well, okay, so the best one for singles in South Carolina.
Yes.
I'm going to say Charleston.
No, Charleston ranks at number 11. We're not even in the top 10.
Yikes.
It's because so this also lists the median age on here. And the median age for Charleston is 34.4. So,
okay, that makes sense though, because I feel like a lot of people living in Charleston are typically older, a little more settled, a little richer than I am.
Yeah, for sure. And while we do have the College of Charleston downtown, it's not that big.
Yeah, it's not as big. It's not really a college town like
our
Columbia.
Gender proportions suck. Like, there's so many girls here. There's so many girls. There's like 4 guys in the whole city.
So I rescind my Charleston guess, and I go with Columbia.
Columbia is number 6. So not
getting closer.
Top 10, but not top 5. The median age for Columbia is 28.3.
Okay.
But yeah, actually, when I go over there, there's a lot of Columbia like suburbs on here. Like Casey and West Columbia are both in
like the
top
greater
5
metropolitan area.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so the number 1 city is Clemson, South Carolina. The median age there is 23.9.
Clemson.
I think the reason that
is
I mean, as much as I don't like it, but I think that's because the whole town is the college.
I mean, I guess. Can you tell I'm dissatisfied?
Yeah, you don't like that answer, but here's the thing.
I just don't understand. Actually, you know what? I have so much bias and I have so much like preconceived notions about what Clemson is going to be like. I've literally never been.
I've also never been.
I'm like, oh, Clemson, that makes no sense.
Clemson, but we've never been. I've heard it's actually really pretty. And I had a friend I had a handful of friends who went to college there, and I never went and visited because I'm awful.
My brother had a friend who went there, and he was just telling me this the other weekend. He was like, yeah, because I was talking about how there were so many like animals and all this stuff in West Virginia as we were driving. And he was like, yeah, it reminds me of Clemson. I went and I was calling my friend and I was like, dude, it says I'm almost here, but like, there's nothing here. It's just farm. And he's like, no, you're here. You made it.
Yeah.
That's it.
The whole thing is a farm.
The whole thing's a farm.
So
I was like, oh, that sounds super like not what I want to be in, but.
Looking at the article, it says that 31.8% of Clemson are married households. So that means that like 68.2%. Hi, I can't do math, but that's right. 68.2%.
I feel like I can hear the gears turning in your head.
Look, I got a degree in hospitality because I can't do math, but I just did that in my brain, so I can subtract or add. I can do both. I can add and subtract.
We're so proud of her.
Yeah, thanks, guys. But yeah, so 68.2% of households are unmarried, and only 17.8% of those households have kids. So almost everybody in Clemson is single
With no
without
kids.
kids, which is like ideal.
Living the dream.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's what we're doing, crushing it. That's how things rank. So it's not easy. It's hard out here, y'all.
It is hard, but it's not also like we make it easier on ourselves either. We're pretty eccentric folks if we have to be perfectly honest, especially now that I think we've both become more comfortable like with ourselves and we don't feel the need to really keep up appearances as much going out.
Yeah, it's gotten
Um
dangerous.
yeah, so we just don't care anymore really.
Which is kind of a relief, you know? We used to
It
spend
is.
so much time getting ready to go out downtown, but now,
I think most of the like I would say 70% was getting ready and like going to pre-games and doing that type of stuff and then going out for a short period of time, getting tired and going home. And now it's we just
much more
go.
low
We
key.
just
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like more economic about our pre gaming, and we are a little bit less flashy, maybe, in our clothes. Although I did buy these knee high black boots that I'm in love with and I've only worn once. So,
They are an outlier and should not have been counted.
yeah, yes. But I bought them like in the past 2 months deliberately to go out. But I've been having some feelings, so I bought shoes, as one does.
I can't remember the last time I bought stuff specifically to go out. I just buy stuff now that I'm like, oh, that's black. I will add it to my collection of other black clothes that I own.
But okay, so while we've become more comfortable with what we wear and how we are, it's also led to some weird stuff. So when we go out in Charleston, I feel like we're a little bit more cautious as opposed to when we go out in Columbia. That said, last time, I don't know if it was the last time, but one of the more recent times Sarah had come down to visit, we went out and I was mad about a guy. I'm not 100% sure which one, but I have a pretty good idea as to who it was. Um, anyway, I was mad about him. I was like, oh, he's so inconsistent. Like, I just wish I knew what he was doing. Like, get in or get out, which is a theme in my life. Anyway, but I was like, oh, I wish he would just like pick a lane. You know who's consistent? The freaking moon. She's always there for me when I need her. And if she's gone, I know when she's going to be gone. I love her. She's there for me. The moon is my girlfriend. And like, if anybody knows me,
She has a shirt to prove it.
I literally have 3 moon themed shirts, which is healthy and fine. But no, if anybody knows me, you know that I love the moon and I always refer to her as a girl. And like, I'm always like, oh, she's a stunner. She's gorgeous. She's a 10. But this night we were like out, like in public at a bar on a rooftop. And I'm like, I'm not like being chill about this. I'm like yelling. I'm like, I love the moon. She's my girlfriend. And Sarah is like, I love the moon. She's my girlfriend too. And we're like, she's our girlfriend. And we're like yelling. And these 2 guys who were very nearby, like they heard this. They had to have heard this. They come up to us and they're like, hey, y'all with a party? And we're like, does it?
The lunar party.
Like, does it look like we're with a party? But I feel like they think we're these like wayward bachelorette party girls, and we're like, no, we're not. And he was like, so, what are y'all up to? And I literally say, we were just yelling at the moon. And he's like, oh, cool. And then he moves on. So obviously it's not a dissuading factor sometimes that we're just like friggin' screaming.
I think at that point they were kind of just like, you know what? All right. This is what we're going to get tonight.
Except they didn't. We just did.
Yeah.
I don't even think we just like, anyway, they were boring. So maybe they're boring?
Maybe they're boring. Maybe they're sun people. I've never met a sun person though.
Like everybody's a sun person.
I mean, technically we need it to live, but do we have to love it?
That's the question. But yeah, okay. So that's our more subdued weirdness. But when we go out in Colombia, we're in like, God, we're like 5 points most of the time.
Oh yeah, with children.
Yeah. So who cares? Like we can be as weird as we want because who cares? Literally.
Like these are trashy college bars. No one cares. No one to impress.
Oh my
just having fun, just drinking cheap stuff.
with infants. So the last time we went out, Sarah, I'm gonna let you tell this because it's just too weird.
Oh, okay. Well, and it's honestly not even like we didn't even come up. I mean, the chant in the end, yes, we came up with, but the whole premise of it was actually a joke that we saw posted. I want to say on Tumblr.
Probably.
Someone was talking about how we don't actually know the size of Jesus because it's just like it's never outright stated. And then someone else, I think they were blogged it or they added on, and they were talking about how there were upper and lower limits because they were like, oh, well, it's definitely said at some point he's like bigger than a baby, but it also says at this one point that he leaves the temple, so he's got to be smaller than the temple. So they were like, we know he's bigger than a baby, but smaller than a temple. And for some reason, we thought this was hilarious, and we ran with it. Yeah, we definitely latched on, and so we made it a chant, and we're like during the we're just with ourselves, and during the pregame we're like marching up and down my hall chanting bigger than a baby, smaller than a temple, bigger than a baby, smaller than a temple, as if we are definitely a part of some strange cult that's fully focused on Jesus' size.
Physical size, yeah, that's the whole.
And yeah, that also somehow just made it out downtown with us, and we would shout at it.
Like marching, just the chant part.
Just
there
the
are
chanting.
limits.
That was our upper limit. Was just the chant, no march.
Yeah, so there's that. That said, sometimes we do okay. Like, I feel like we do better in Charleston than we do in Columbia. It's probably because we're A, more receptive, and B, a little bit less weird.
Yeah. And it's also, I think for some reason, we just do better when it's just the two of us. Like, I love having more friends, definitely.
No, friends are great, but
friends are great, but for some reason, for some reason, when it's just the two of us, we really, like, work with each other's energies well, and
we do a good job. So, okay, this is, it was like a year ago almost at this point. This is the highlight of my life. Maybe
highlight of our lives, and it wasn't even my guy. I just miss him.
Same. Okay, so we were speaking to these two lovely gentlemen who were probably like in their 40s, and they were from Qatar, and they were in town for like I don't know, something to do with filming.
Yeah, I don't know. It was something where like it was a conference or like something where they'd be going to multiple cities, and they were actually really cool and nice. Yeah. And they definitely weren't even hitting on us. They were just like, what's something fun to do in town and like all this stuff. And yeah, but we were like, you know what? We are wanting to find something else.
No, they were super nice and not weird, but we were like, this is not the attention we're looking for. And we were like, I don't think they were hitting on us, but we were like, looking to get hit on. So we removed ourselves from that. We like went over to the other side of the bar just to kind of like powwow and reconvene. And like magic, this dude appears. And I thought Sarah had won the night. Like I was like, oh man, it's going to be one of those. Because this dude, he was like decent looking. He was taller than me, which I don't know if he was taller than you or not because Sarah's taller than I am. But
yeah, I don't know. Maybe just a little bit taller than me.
Anyway, the point is he would have been fine. Like if he had just come up and talked to me, I would have been like, cool, this is fine for tonight. Like, which sounds so sad. But like he was decent looking. Like I would have talked to him. But Sarah's talking to him and I was like, all right. So I like turn around and there's his friend who is the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my whole life.
Like the angels are singing in the background, the light is shining onto him. It's like a glorious, magical moment.
I've never believed in love at first sight, but I think
until him.
Yeah, it's like I changed my mind, and it's like a fleeting thing. Like it's just the one, like that was it. He's the love of my life, and he's gone. So I just have to like settle for second best now. But anyway, his name, we refer to first name Brendan, last name love of my life. So I just say like Brendan, the love of my life. And it's been a year and I still talk about him and it's fine. But anyway, we like hit it off and we like Sarah and her dude hit it off to some degree, but I'm like in love over here. And I think he's also in love. That's what makes us so much better. It was mutual. Ugh, God, never.
Mutual love at first sight.
Like, ugh. And even if it wasn't, I don't care. I'll never see him again. So I can believe it was. But anyway, they came back to my place and, the next day they left, and I was like, he's perfect. I'll never love again. And all that is to say that sometimes we do fine downtown.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's not like we always strike out or are so weird that no one will want to talk to us.
Most of the time.
I know. Gosh, I still think about Brendan.
Yeah, I think about him too often.
He was a little Greek god that stepped down for the day to join our mortal plane and then scurried back.
Yeah. No, the beauty of him is that I will literally never see him again. Unless I do, in which case, like, hey. But no, I'll never see him again, and therefore he can never disappoint me. He is perfect, and I've just romanticized him, and I will just continue to romanticize him. And one day I'll be like 90, and I'll be like, remember Brendan, the love of my life?
They're like, shut up, Grandma. We don't know what you're talking about.
And I'll be like, Brendan would know. Like, one day I'm going to get married to somebody, maybe, in theory. I'll get married, and I'll be like, Brendan would never talk like that. And they'll be like, what? And I'll be like, nothing. So that's healthy.
Brendan's definitely gonna come in between all of your marriages. I say as if you're gonna have so many.
Oh god.
Oh, definitely more than one. But
cool, good. Gotta get that starter marriage. That's anyway. But yeah, so sometimes we do okay downtown. Let's wrap this up because I could talk about Brendan forever.
For some reason, I was going to say R.I.P. I'm sorry.
He's not dead, I don't think.
I know. He's not. Fingers crossed. But you're out there, Brendan. But anyways, we just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves and explain, how we met, how this whole podcast came about, and kind of give a little bit of the format for how things will be moving forward. Like we will probably do a little bit more research into things and also provide some just fun anecdotes and some of our opinions on things. And we hope that that is something you guys are interested in.
Yeah, if you have any topics or anecdotes that you want to share, questions, stories, comments, our DMs are open on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us at The Lonely Sluts on both of those. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, TLS Podcast on YouTube. And we also have a Gmail if you have something you want to submit. We are thelonelysluts@gmail.com. On our next episode, we're going to be discussing marriage. It's going to be called All My Friends Are Married. So stick around and stay tuned if you want to listen to that. And thanks for tuning in today, and we'll talk at you again later.
Bye.